Hello, everyone. Welcome to our meeting tonight. I will be on camera about 10 minutes after the hour. Please feel free to let us know who is joining us tonight. And we'll get started in a few minutes. I'll put the meeting in the chat because my share screen button is broke. So I'm trying to get it to work and I can't send the PowerPoint yet. But I'll be putting that agenda in the chat for everyone, but welcome. We'll start in a couple of minutes. We'll just give a little bit more time for people to get connected. Feel free to go ahead and put your name in the chat. Feel free to greet each other. Let us know who's with us tonight. I know there are a couple of other last minute meetings that just popped up I saw in the last hour or so in our community, but we are recording this for anyone that does not have an opportunity to join us. So welcome everyone. We'll be getting started in a few minutes.
Good evening. Good evening.
Hello, everybody.
Commissioner Foreman, how are you?
Doing outstanding. Can you hear me?
Good. Yeah, we hear you loud and clear.
All right, for a change, it's working.
There you go.
I'm getting a little better.
Nice.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Well, let me go through the agenda while we're waiting for the rest of the commissioner join. So tonight, not going to be as long of a meeting as we usually have. We were fortunate to be able to have Attorney General Schwab join us tonight. As we've been looking to engage with him. So the Attorney General's office will be our main speaker for tonight. We're going to have a few updates from MPD that we'll do before the Attorney General come on. So just in order, we'll have the MPD speak. I'm proposing that we do questions for the commissioners after the Attorney General so that we can use as much time as possible tonight to engage MPD and the Attorney General. Then we have a quick announcement for DDOT about an upcoming meeting they have. Red Brick has an announcement about a community town hall that they are having that they want us to know about as it pertains to the Bridge District. And then the Anacostia bid has an announcement. So our meeting is pretty short, well, shorter than normal. We don't have any other major developers or anything coming to present any plans for us tonight. But please do stick around because we'll have that community engagement after the OG's office so that you can hear from your commissioners. You can ask questions for your commissioners and you can hear updates from us because there are several things moving in the grade 8A that we want to tell you all. So that's our agenda for tonight. Feel free to share information in the chat about upcoming events, upcoming meetings, anything that you want the community to know while we get started. So I'm going to go ahead and ask to do a roll call really quickly. I know some commissioners are still trying to get in and I'll help them troubleshoot when I'm settled. But let's start with 8A01. Are you present? Commissioner Donohue?
I'm here.
Okay, 8A02.
Okay.
8A02.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, 8A03. Commissioner Davis? Present. 8A04, Fria Moore is getting on. 8A05, Jamila White is present. 8A06, Commissioner McKinney is getting on. And 8A07, Commissioner Redman.
Present.
All right, thank you. The time is now 7:04. We have 5 commissioners online. We do have a quorum. Can I get a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
Forward the motion to approve.
Thank you. Could you say I move? Did you say I move?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
A second.
Any
Sure.
discussion? Thank you. Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passes unanimously. That is 5 commissioners. So we're gonna get started and pass it over to Commander Hickman. Welcome, Commander. I ain't seen you in a minute. Welcome. I ain't trying to put you on the spotlight, but we ain't seen you in 8A in a while. Welcome over. This is the 60 commander, and we'll give you a few moments to kind of let us know what's happening in the 6th district. If you have any questions for the 6th district, that is the Fairlawn side of 8A, so the west side of Murray and Berry Avenue, correct? Over to Pennsylvania, please go ahead and raise your hand or put those in the chat and we'll get started with Commander Hickman.
All right, good afternoon. Gerard Hickman, commander of the 6th district. One second, my watchman is trying to get on the call. So give me one. All right. Sorry about that. I was Lieutenant Roberts. He's the PSA lieutenant that covers that area in safety. So he just having trouble hopping over. He's over now. So do I have the ability to share my screen?
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right. So I'm Gerard Hickman. I'm the commander of the 6th district. I've been in this role for a little over a year. So what I do is let me share my screen and go over some quick just some quick data for 6D outside of 8A, which is basically the one PSA on the safety side, which is PSA 607. So basically it's just one block to the south of Pennsylvania Avenue, the 25th. It basically picks up from Nicholson Street all the way down to Marion Bay Avenue, and then everything within 25th Street. That one block in Nicholson to Pennsylvania is actually on the 7B side of 7B side. So I don't know how they do those lines up, but that's how it works out. So I'm just share my screen real quick and show some quick data. Can everybody see my screen? It should be a PowerPoint.
Yep, we can see it.
Okay, cool. All right. So real quick. Sorry, gonna do more one time. All right. So this is this is basically the leadership for ANC 8A. I'm the district commander. You got Captain Jerome Merrill. He is the Sector 2 captain. Sector 2 covers PSA 605, 606, and 607. Lieutenant Karan Roberts, who should be on, is the PSA 607 lieutenant. So here's some data, some crime stats year to date. I broke it down by 6D, PSA 607, and then data for ANC 8A. So year to date 6D, that's basically from beginning of the year until yesterday. That's how our data system works. It's 24 hours behind. So it's basically from year January 1 until yesterday. So in year to date 6D, we're down 19% overall in violent crime, 30% in property crime, and 20% overall crime year to date. You go down to PSA 607, PSA 607 is down 30% overall in violent crime, 37% in property crime, and 35% in overall crime. You would see that they're up a little bit in assault with dangerous weapons. We did have a couple of shootings on the Fairlawn side, a little closer to Pennsylvania Avenue, that's just right inside 8A. And those other cases, and then the other cases are DV related, but we count them as assault with a dangerous weapon. And assault with a dangerous weapon doesn't necessarily mean shooting. It just means you assault somebody with a weapon that we consider dangerous. It could include shooting, but not all ADWs are considered shooting. And then you go to 8A. Here's the numbers for 8A, where you're down 7% in violent crime, 50% in property crime, and 54% in overall crime. And just like the PSA, you guys do have one more ADW at this point this year than he did last year. But those are the numbers. That's how we're trending so far. Overall, I'm pretty happy with the crime in the PSA and the ANC. We do have initiatives going.
Excuse me, Commander.
Yes.
There's a note in the chat. They were wondering if you could put it in presentation mode, so it is a little bit hard to see the numbers because it's a little bit small.
Okay. I'm sorry. I will put it. I'm sorry. Put it in a slideshow. There we go. That a little better. That a little better.
I'm just reading her the.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to put it on.
Commander, if you look at the bottom, hit that hourglass looking thing, go over to the right hand side near where the volume is, zoom in and out, and yeah, go to the left. Go to the left of that.
Yeah,
Go
I put it in
hit that
slideshow mode, but it made it pop up on my other screen. Let me do something. I'm gonna share my other screen and that should work. I'm gonna share my other screen. Give me one.
Okay.
Stop share real quick, and I'm gonna one second slideshow for the beginning. All right, let me get back to it. 1 second. We're gonna make it difficult. We're gonna make it easy. 1 second. Let me get it. What I do is I drop some data in the chat. Every time I put slideshow, it won't put it on the screen. I want it if you put it on the opposite screen. 1 second.
It's okay. And could you just drop the link where people can go and find those statistics themselves too?
Yeah, it's in DC Prime Cards, which DC Prime Cards does break it down by ANC. So we'll drop the link to DC Prime Cards in there. And then I'm gonna get into staffing real quick for the PSA. So PSA, we basically at 60, we run 3 shifts. We run 3 10-hour shifts. So our first watch was considered overnight shift, starts from 9 p.m. and goes and runs to 7:30 a.m. Our second watch is considered day shift, runs from 5 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. And our third watch, which we're running right now, is our evening shift, and it runs between 1 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. So for the first watch, which is basically overnight shift, 607 has 1 sergeant, 8 officers. The day shift has no sergeant and 6 officers, and then the third shift has 1 sergeant and 7 officers. So the PSA total has 2 sergeants and 21 officers. So far, year to date, the PSA has handled 893 calls for service, and then in 2024, the PSA is taken on 11,394 calls for service. So it's a very busy PSA when it comes to 911 calls and calls for service. I would say we do have Lieutenant Roberts. He's one of my younger lieutenants. He's been lieutenant for maybe about a couple of years, but he's very hungry. Some of you guys have met him. We have spent some time out in the community in Squirrel Park, which is down there in the Fairlawn community. We got little stuff working down there, and then we have other initiatives, mainly on the Fairlawn side. And then, of course, if you guys live more on the Marion side, we do have what we call the Thrive Initiative, which we split with the 7th district right there on Marion Avenue. That's all I have, and I'm open for questions. If you have any questions for me.
Yes, Commander. I got the notice today about the incident 2200 Minnesota Avenue yesterday. Obviously, that's of great concern because that's where the school is. Was wondering if you could provide us some additional details on how close to the school was it? That was it across the street? Was it a part of the the group of people that we some consider the open drug market at the end? That group, or any information you could provide us would be great, appreciated.
So it wasn't on the side of the street of school. It was on the side of the strip mall right there in the parking lot of the liquor store. They did recover a substantial amount. So they covered 3 illegal firearms and a substantial amount of illegal narcotics. That case is still open. Our violent crime suppression division did not make an arrest in that case. That case is still open. But they are close to closing that case. And then hopefully with the 3 guns we can do some forensics on that and see if it's tied to any other crime. But that case is still open, but it is leading towards a closing.
I have a question.
Yes.
Go ahead.
As far as the arrest, was the enhanced penalty applied because it's in a school zone?
No, it was no arrest. The case is still open.
No arrest?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's close to an arrest. It just is one of those situations where we recover the product and no body with it. Yeah.
Okay.
So, but that case is close to an arrest. It's our violent crime suppression division's case. So, but it is when they briefed out on it, the crime brief on Monday, they said that case will close. So, of course, when it closed, we'll ask them questions while they doing the enhancements on top of that.
So does that also mean you recovered 3 weapons without any bodies as well?
Yes, and all the evidence recovered was with no arrest. So basically all we have is a substantial recovery of guns and narcotics, but nobody close enough for us that we can have proper cause to charge them that day, if that makes sense.
Commander, do you have any CAC meetings?
Yes. My CAC meetings are on the second Monday of every month. So my CAC meeting is actually next Monday.
Okay, could you put that information in the chat for folks and maybe just give a 10-second overview of what those are?
So yes, so I have the CAC. I have the CAC board. So we have a president, which is Natalie Green, and we have some officers there. So basically, we have 2 meetings. The meeting is just basically me and the board. They go over just some to this business of the day, business of the month. They give monthly reports, what the finances look like, what initiatives we got going on, and then in the second hour, that's when we invite the community as special guests, when we go over crime in the 6th district as a whole. We don't break it down to PSA. We go over crime to 6th district as a whole.
I just have one last question.
Okay.
What time of the day was it? And I'm trying to get a sense of if there was any danger at any point to the students, and if maybe we should increase patrols or some more visibility of police during students coming in and getting out.
It was this weekend, and it was after school hours.
Okay.
Thanks.
And additional patrols?
Additional
patrols?
So we have what we call crime patrol areas. So Fairlawn is one of our crime patrol areas, but the PSA is very big. So we put out a chunk. So basically our crime patrol area for that area starts at Pennsylvania. It basically runs to 25th. It runs all the way down basically at 18th and P and back towards Fairlawn towards Pennsylvania Avenue.
All right, Commander, we have not really a question in the chat, but a comment from Ms. Lynch. I don't know if you could look at that. Ms. Lynch, do you want to come off mute, or you just want to kind of alert the commander and alert the community? Let us know. I can try to elevate you. Any other last minute questions from the commander? Commander, you're going to put the information in the CAC in the chat so the community can know how they can join. And this is when you can spend a lot of time like deep diving into what's happening. Sorry, everyone, I have a little visitor who's bothering me right now.
I see the question in the chat about please be on the lookout for Dark Man lurking 22nd and T. We'll put that out. If you can tell me what time of day, but we can put it out to our the lookout appears to be pretty vague. Unless we see him knocking on a door on one, that lookout appears to be pretty vague. So we don't want to just go out there and just stop somebody to look out. But you give me a time of day, and of course you have to put your address. The 22nd T is good enough for us. But if you give us a time of day we can hold on where we may see him, we can definitely get some officers out there, get some bang for the buck.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much, Commander Hickman. And if you haven't already, my computer restarted, so I didn't see the chat. We want to make sure you have your contact information in there so people can have that information, and appreciate you all being with us. Somebody said, oh, Tom, click on everyone when you reply. Down the bottom, remember what I said, click everyone and not just host and panelists. I'll show you in a second. All right, so we don't have the 7th district on yet, I don't believe. And so with that, are you on from this, Riley? Okay, Riley, we're gonna give you a few minutes before we have the Attorney General come on. My bad, Riley, I didn't see the commander, I'm sorry.
It's okay, thank you. My name is Riley Hong. I'm the captain of Sector 1 at the 7th District. I've been there since October, so I'm still getting to know a lot of the communities and the geography. What I'll do as I talk, I kind of picked up on the information that you requested from 60. So in the chat, I'll put in information as I talk. We have the 7th District CAC monthly meeting, which the commander hosts, typically on Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Martha's Table. I don't have the next date readily available, but I'll put the information in the chat that I have here. And then I'll also put in the chat the management team for the 7th District. Okay, so the chat's not working, but I'll send it separately to Commissioner White. I also emailed Commissioner White the manager contact sheet, which has a list of emails, names, phone numbers for all the managers, the specific areas that everyone manages, and also a copy of the latest 7th District newsletter, which has a lot of crime prevention tips. Other than that, going to the statistics for the past month, this is going to be covering from January 1st. This one will be year-to-date January 1st to February 4th, and specifically PSA 701. We have decreases in pretty much all categories of crime. Other than motor vehicle theft, we had an increase of 1 incident. Last year, during the same period, we had 4 stolen autos, and this year we have 5. But other than that, total crime is down 25 last year, and 10 this year. Violent crimes down from 9 to 2. Property crime is going to be down 16 to 8. So numbers wise, we're doing well. But of course, the neighborhood sentiment of how they feel, how people feel in their communities is important. So I'm here to listen to anybody who has concerns, or I'll put my email in the chat in case anyone wants to contact me directly offline.
Thank you so much. Let's start with any questions from the commissioners. If any questions, this is 7D. This is the east side of Murrayberry Avenue. So that's primarily ANC's single member districts 8A, 04, 05, 06 side of the road. Does any commissioners have any questions? And then community members, if you have any questions for 7D, can you put those in the chat? And can you also raise your hand? Commissioner Moore, Commissioner McKinney, any questions for 7D tonight?
I wanted to let the community ask their question. They had a lot of concerns based around a couple of crimes that had happened. One of the neighbors had gotten robbed maybe about a week or so ago, and it was a broad day, like early morning. He was changing the tire or something on his car. So they have a lot of concerns. We want to address that as well. And we want to, see if there's any connections with that, along with some of the 3 young men who got caught for something else they done that same day.
Okay, and so we have Commissioner Moore, any questions from you?
No, not at this time. I'm gonna go ahead and let the community express their concerns, and I'll follow up with the email.
Perfect. So we got one in the chat. Hi, I witnessed a robbery last Wednesday on 16th of Murrayberry Avenue at 4:30. After the person withdrew the gun and ran, the police arrived, and of course it was too late. It was directly across from the old laundromat. Thank you, Donnie, for letting us know. Do you have any update on the robbery that happened, the carjacking in historic Anacostia a few days ago? I know that we're supposed to meet with the person who that happened to. We do have a meeting with the commander coming up and that person, but if you just have any updates on that carjacking or any other carjackings that have been happening in 701.
Yeah, so yeah, I did see that you had actually facilitated the meeting with the victim from that incident. So thank you for that. Thank you for connecting us. Looking forward to meeting him and you as well. Yeah, we've had various robberies, carjackings in the various parts of 70, including 701. We're investigating. So the way it typically works is when the crime occurs, we take the initial report. The detectives are going to investigate. If it's a carjacking, oftentimes it'll be a centralized carjacking unit, and their investigators will take the lead on investigating those cases. For robberies, the district detectives will investigate those. If there's any evidence that links the cases together, then they can work together and we'll get updates. But as far as the specific case, I will follow up offline about if there's any other developments. We are limited in what we can share about active investigations, but I'll follow up with Commissioner White directly so she can share the information.
Thank you so much, Captain. Can you all hear me? Okay. All
Yes.
right. Well, I don't see any more questions from the community. Ashley, is that a question from you or you was just trying to be elevated? I'm gonna assume you were trying to be elevated.
I have one more question.
Okay, thanks. Yes, Tom, can it be quick? We want to get the attorney
Yeah,
general.
Commissioner Hickman, do you know what the status is of last year? We had an incident. We had like 16 different instances of residents in the Fairlawn area, particularly around Prout Street, 22nd Street, robbed at gunpoint. Do you know where that stands? I know that there was somebody initially arrested and then they were let go and then somebody else was arrested, and it looks like none of those cases have actually been charged. Do you have an update on any of that by chance? And I should also say I was one of the victims as well, so.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. I don't have that
Talk to me,
information
Riley.
readily available, but feel
Riley,
free to reach out
Riley.
directly to me.
Riley, he was talking to me.
Oh,
But thank you.
Yeah, so we did have a few robberies in the Fairlawn community last year. Robberies in Fairlawn last year total was down drastically. I apologize for your experience. In Fairlawn, we did close some robberies last year. We closed some carjackings that we linked to other areas in the 6th district. If you send me an email with any particular dates, because it's just robberies. So I'll just put it in context. So 6D was second in the city in robberies last year, even though we were down 41% from 2023. So we were talking about excess of 300 robberies. So it's just something that just a crime with that many. I would need some specific dates so I can do some research. But I do know just generally, we did close a few robberies that happened in the Fairlawn community. It was kind of we treated it at the PSA level, but it kind of touched Fairlawn along that Minnesota Avenue corridor up to Randall Circle. We did close a few robberies.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move on, everyone. Appreciate you, Commander Hicks. Like I said, to go into these nitty-gritty details, I invite everyone to go to the CAC meetings as well, and to reach out directly. So, Attorney General Schwab, welcome to the great Ward 8, to Anacostia, to 8A. I will no longer stalk you and track you down in public and say you're not coming.
Let me tell you, Commissioner, you are an extraordinary advocate for your community. Everybody should know that. I apologize that our schedules were such that getting me with you took as long as it did, but in case anybody's wondering whether you have a chair of your commission that is dogged in her commitment to you, rest assured that you do. And so I'm delighted to be here. I apologize up front. I've got an event that I'm going to leave at 8 o'clock for, but we've got a half hour. I'm going to talk for a couple of minutes, and then I'm anxious to hear from you. Want to try to give you some overview generally, and then this certainly can be a continuing conversation. So just to set the stage, this is an important year for the Office of Attorney General. This is the 10-year anniversary of the District of Columbia having an independent elected Attorney General. As many of you know, for many, many years, going back to the even pre-home rule, the chief law officer of the city was previously called the Corporation Counsel and then the Attorney General, but was a a position appointed by the mayor and served at the pleasure of the mayor. Significant step for democracy in the District of Columbia was the residents, through initiative, voted to create a charter amendment to elect an attorney general. And the first attorney general came into office in 2015. So we have 10 years of being an independent elected office. In some ways, that's a decade of experience, but it's also important to reflect that we're still a relatively new office when you think about the history of our government. It was very, very important, though, I think, for the residents of the District of Columbia to have an attorney general that is directly accountable to them. It shapes our focus. It shapes our priorities. We have a very substantial investment in community engagement because it is my belief that we need to be listening more than we're talking. And many of you have met Aaron Jenkins, who's on the line, who's my director of community engagement. If you don't know Aaron and his team, I hope you will make an effort to meet him. So I start with that we're very much attuned to the fact that the role of attorney general is not one that can be divorced from being in community, listening to community, and hearing the issues as they bubble up. We don't always have great answers. We are constrained sometimes by the practices and laws that we have, but we do want to know, and we do want to be a partner. Most of you know the Office of Attorney General is the chief law office of the city, and at a broad level, we aspire to be the finest law firm in the country. That's what the residents of the District of Columbia deserve, and that's what we try to do every day. We have a broad mandate of the work that we do every day. Many people don't know the vast scope of work that the 700 professionals that work in my office are doing on a daily basis. I try to break it down as follows so people have a picture of the work. The first bucket of work that we do is really representing the district. We are protecting taxpayer dollars when the district is sued, and oftentimes it is sued. The lawyers in my office are protecting the district. We are the counsel for the district. Last year, we saw an increase of nearly 30% of lawsuits filed against the district that our office was defending. We provide legal advice to the mayor, to the council, to the agencies. We provide legal opinions when there are uncertain or unresolved issues of law. We do a lot of commercial law work that people may not see us doing, such as contracting, procurement work. We deal with tax and tax revenue issues, bond, and other issues regarding the development of our city. So that's the straight up law work that the Office of Attorney General is doing every day. The next bucket, I think about how we're serving our children and families. And there the work is our child support enforcement work that we do, our support of the abuse and neglect, kids and families who are tied up in the abuse and neglect system with foster care and other issues, adoption and guardianship. And then, of course, many of you know us as the chief juvenile justice prosecutors in our city. We have a bifurcated criminal justice system in DC. It is attributable to the fact that we are not a state. The vast majority of criminal prosecution work done in our city is done by the U.S. attorney, appointed by the president, not accountable to the residents of the district. We work very closely with the U.S. attorneys. We work very closely with MPD on issues that both the U.S. Attorney's Office and the Office of Attorney General are involved in prosecuting. But it's important to remember that when it comes to our mandate with respect to criminal prosecution, it's a very small fraction of the overall criminal conduct in our city, and it focuses principally, when we're talking about serious violent crime, on juveniles defined in law as younger than 18. The third bucket of work that we do is in the nature of our statutory duty to defend the public interest. The statute that created the independent attorney general charges me with the duty of defending the public interest. And this is the work that you will see where we are fighting for tenants, workers, consumers, seniors, the environment, and the affirmative litigation that we're bringing oftentimes against companies that too often are exploiting people in the district, putting profits over people, where our office is holding people accountable through the use of the laws that we have. The laws that we are enforcing in those areas, for example, in housing, are our Tenant Receivership Act and our nuisance statute. and our consumer protection statute. We have a robust anti-discrimination statute called the Human Rights Act. That's part of the toolbox that we use to bring affirmative litigation. We enforce environmental laws. We protect workers who are being ripped off and having their wages or overtime not paid to them. And of course, we are very actively involved in holding landlords accountable for their obligation to follow the law and make sure that housing conditions comply with the law. So that's sort of an overview generally of the mandate of work that we are doing on a daily basis. In addition to that work, we have a focus on legislative and policy work where we see gaps in the law, where we see where our laws can be improved and tightened. We work closely with the council on those types of issues, where we identify ways in which we can be more responsive. Our community engagement team is leaning into that. We hear directly from the community about an issue, and my team has been charged by me that we will never be an agency that says it's not our problem. We will be responsive, we'll be accountable. We may not be the agency that's charged with doing what needs to get done, but we will help people get to the right place. And that is part of the ethos and mandate of this office. I know that Commissioner White wanted me to talk a little bit about public safety, and I'll give a little bit of an overview of that. And then I'll try to stop and see if we can't have some questions and be responsive to what's on your mind. From my perspective, there is no more important obligation for the government generally and for the Office of Attorney General in particular to protect public safety, to advance public safety in our city. To me, public safety is broader than policing and prosecution. Policing and prosecution has a very, very important role in that. And on that focus, our office is extremely busy holding young people who commit violent crimes accountable. The number of prosecutions that the office has done since I was elected, the pace and rate at which cases are being papered, and the seriousness of the cases that we're handling have all increased. We all know that our city had a very, very difficult 2023. Last year was a better year in terms of bringing down crime numbers. We still have too much crime. We still have too many guns, particularly illegal guns in our city. And so the prosecution work, the close work we do with MPD in investigating and developing cases, charging cases when we have sufficient evidence to bring the cases, and then of course prosecuting those cases is a core part of what public safety mission looks like in the office. In 2024, just to give you an idea, our papering rates on the most serious of crimes, the violent crimes, the gun crimes, the carjacking crimes, were in excess of 80%, some as high as 86% on certain crimes. So we are prosecuting more cases, more difficult and serious cases than I think certainly since the pandemic and maybe even before the pandemic. But for me, public safety is much bigger than simply prosecuting cases after crimes have occurred. We have to focus on how we are going to prevent crime from happening, and we are very focused on that too. Part of what you may have seen this past year was some legislation that I introduced, the council passed, called the Road Act, which was focusing on the way in which DYRS is meeting its obligation to hold young people accountable, to rehabilitate, to get them back on track after they have been convicted and committed to DYRS. We had recidivism rates in our city that were unacceptable. And we need to really focus on that, because when we do have kids who have been held accountable through the criminal justice system, committed to DYRS, we need to make sure that those kids get what they need while they are in the custody and commitment of DYRS so that they don't recidivate. That's one less crime, one less victim if we're doing that the way our system could maximally do it well. So that's part of the focus. We also are doing everything we can with respect to illegal guns in our city. You may have seen this past year, along with the Attorney General for the state of Maryland, I filed a lawsuit against 3 gun stores in Maryland that were selling, according to our allegations and investigation, to straw purchasers, because we don't manufacture or sell guns in this city. Most of the illegal guns in the city are coming from other states. We have brought lawsuits against ghost gun manufacturers selling gun kits on the internet. And our lawyers, extraordinary lawyers in our Solicitor General's office, are defending our reasonable gun control laws that we have in our city every day against Second Amendment attacks on the laws that we have on the books. We have, as many of you know, a violence interruption program called Cure the Streets, including in Fairlawn. Our Father Factor CBO is our Cure the Streets grantee in the neighborhood, and we are committed to using a public health approach to trying to reduce gun violence, disrupt cycles of violence, particularly retaliatory gun violence, which we know can oftentimes fuel cycles of violence. Those programs are programs that we're very proud of. We hold our grantees to a high standard. It's not easy work, but they are doing the work of being out in community, trying to quash beefs, mediate disputes, bring resources to people to try to keep gun violence down. We enforce what's called our ERPO laws, our red flag laws. These are laws that allow us to take guns away from people who have them lawfully, but may be a danger to themselves or others around them. And the lawyers in my office are oftentimes in court pursuing red flag or ERPO orders to try to get guns away from people who may hurt themselves or others. We also know that some of the violence and some of the public safety challenges are rooted in the fact that kids aren't in school, and we are focused on truancy and chronic absenteeism. We have a program called Attend that's working in 9 different schools, all east of the river, mostly elementary, but also some middle schools, trying to address what are some of the obstacles that keep families and kids from being in school and in school regularly. We know that if we can keep kids safe in school learning longer, that's good for us as a public safety strategy. It's good for us as we raise healthy, hopeful children, because I believe hopeful kids are safer kids to themselves and everybody around them. Kids who lack hope are dangerous. Anybody who feels in a desperate, hopeless situation is less safe to themselves and people around them. There are very few cases that we see in our office on the juvenile justice side where there isn't an aspect of financial exploitation, poverty, housing instability, and that's why the affirmative public safety work that we do in those fields are also things that I think are important for a comprehensive public safety approach, and why it's so important for us to do that. This past fall, we rolled out a youth influencer campaign, #FutureMeDC. This was an effort to help influencers, young people who are influential in the community, to use social media to talk about how they made bad choices, how they learned from choices, encouraging other young people to make better choices. We adults can preach, we adults can talk, we adults can engage. Sometimes the most influential people for young people are their peers or a little bit older. And when we can have positive engagement, we think that's part of a comprehensive approach. We also know that after school time, commitments with coaches, teachers, counselors, where kids are engaging with adults who are caring about them and providing good role models and mentoring, is also part of a comprehensive approach. And that's why I committed dollars towards a grant program called Leaders of Tomorrow Grants, where we were able to support community organizations on the ground doing the work. And we are seeing some extraordinary stories and results, programs that are teaching dispute resolution, teaching meditation and mindfulness, entrepreneurship. These are showing young people who might otherwise get to being in dangerous situations, doing things they shouldn't be doing, idle hands. We're addressing that through our grant making process. And finally, when it comes to trying to support our youth, we're also trying to put our money where our mouth is with our commitment to our high school advisory council, with young people, high schoolers from across the city who are part of a monthly meeting of an advisory council that make policy recommendations to me and my senior leadership team. They have given us extraordinary insights on issues like social media, bullying, fighting in school, and their insights we are listening to and rolling them into very concrete policies that we are advancing. We have a Do the Right Thing challenge for middle schoolers who have an opportunity to write essays about their experience with violence. They can start to express themselves through written word. And the beautiful thing about that program is that that challenge results in all of their work being published in a book that's then in the Library of Congress. People from all over the country, young people and their parents come in the summer and celebrate the essays that are in the Do the Right Thing contest. And we finally each year give out Right Direction Awards. And I'd encourage everybody on this call, certainly the commissioners, MPD, if there are young people that you see in your community that have shown extraordinary resilience and have turned themselves around or have become leaders, we honor them and their families every year around Labor Day with our Right Direction Awards. I believe that positive reinforcement is equally important with holding people accountable. We have to do both. It's not either or, but that's part of the commitment and the approach that we're thinking about. How do we make our city healthier, safer for everybody? So I'll stop and we can talk a little bit about specific questions. I assume there will be some questions about housing, but whatever's on your mind, I'll try to address. And again, I apologize that I've got a commitment, but I'll stay as long as I can.
Thank you so much. We have about 20 questions already lined up for you in the chat and the Q&A. So I want to ask a couple questions. We're going to start with the neighbors because we can access you as commissioners much quicker. And so what I want to ask is, do you want them to just go to the first 3 people and they ask their questions and then you can respond boom, 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 instead of going one after the other? Because sometimes that takes a little bit longer. Would that be cool for you?
That'd be helpful. And if I can try to, because I doubt I'm going to get to all 20, but if I can address the topics, if there are repeat topics, I'll do that.
I'm putting the people together who aren't repeats.
Great.
And I also welcome your staff to address in the comments some of the questions. So I'm going to start with Jonna, then we're going to go to Tracy, then we're going to go to Jared and Miss Lynch. I'm going to ask you to keep your question to 45 seconds. So please, if it's a book, send it after or any type of thesis. But Jonna, then Jared, then Tracy, and I'm sorry, Jonna, Tracy, Miss Lynch, and then Jared. So each you can ask your questions and then we'll get the response from the Attorney General.
Okay, I'll try to be quick. I have 2 questions. So my name is Jonna Turner. I'm with CARE DC, Community Advocacy and Resources for Education. So the schools that we support, the loitering is a massive issue. It is an influential force that distracts our students from coming to school every day. And then also the girls are uncomfortable with all the loitering that's happening. Parents have been complaining nonstop about it. So it's our school leaders. And so we're trying to find a way where, you know, we can healthily move people so that they are not there while kids are going to and from school. So that's one thing. I'm glad that you're doing a lot of work on social media. That is a massive issue in our schools. And it's impacting theft. The other thing is that we, with this new administration, we're a small organization. We are strongly calling ourselves pro-Black and pro-Brown. What is the Attorney General office doing to protect organizations that directly support marginalized communities, to ensure that we're not getting flagged for anything?
Thank you, Jonna. So that was questions around protections for vulnerable communities and what are they doing around the schools. So I hope you got that. Next, we're going to go to Tracy.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Hi. I think Jared and I probably have some very similar concerns. We just live on opposite sides of the historic Anacostia district in regard to just the, for me and my side of the neighborhood, around what I consider more of the complacency around keeping our community as clean and beautiful as some of the other wards in the neighborhood. Not so much around the residents themselves, because we do have our own level of accountability, but around the level of response that we receive from the different departments when we do make requests. I just don't feel like we should have to beg, borrow, and steal to get, you know, those departments to respond when we need our communities cleaned up. regardless of what level that is. Basically, for me, it's really around giving us in Ward 8 the same level of expertise, the same level of care and consideration as those in wards 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So thank you for that. And also, I just have to say thank you so much for what you're doing for Amazon. It's a first world problem, but we would also like our packages in 1 and 2 days. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. Ms. Lynch.
Okay. Hi. First of all, I just want to thank you for all of the wonderful work that you're doing to protect the residents of DC. I try to keep up with all the work, but just in terms of the scammers, the fraud that people are trying to inflict upon us, I just want to thank you so much for all of the work that you're doing. I think you may already be aware of this, but I understand that there is a landlord or owner that has several nuisance properties in DC, and I think he has had several, I think they're calling notice of infractions that have been placed against him. And the particular property that we were concerned about was at 2440 S Street Southeast. And what was happening there was a lot of dumping. The trash cans were overflowing. It was just a menace of waste. They were dumping. We don't know if the tenants are not aware of how to manage their trash, whether the owners had sufficient trash cans and recipients for them to put their trash in. But we did talk to Terry Briscoe and Stephen Thompson at DPW. And from what I understand, the next step was to talk to you about bringing some kind of action against this property owner, because I understand he has other properties that have several violations that are affecting the health, safety, and welfare of our tenants. Are you aware of this property owner? And could you give us any status of any cases that you're bringing against him?
Thank you, Ms. Lynch. And then Jerry, I know your question is very similar around landlords that are not being accountable. Jared?
Yes, Commissioner White, thank you for prompting me. And Attorney General, thank you so much for spending some time with us. Just to kind of continue the theme here is for the last couple of years, we on Historic Anacostia Block Association, which I am a member, we've been flagging several properties that have property owners that do not maintain them. And when I say do not maintain them, I'm talking more about the external conditions of them, where they're not contracting with the required trash and recycling. So what happens is you have volumes of trash, including human waste such as diapers, etc., that piles up for weeks at a time. And then all that blows into other people's neighborhood yards, and it also attracts additional illegal dumping. The property that comes top of mind is 1521 V Street, which has assessed $30,000 in monetary citations. So we're being told by the district government agencies that they've done all that they possibly can. If you actually assess $30,000 in monetary citations, it shows that that does not dissuade or correct behavior. And so they're essentially saying we've done everything that within their authority that they can possibly do, and they're now just referring us to your office to take corrective actions. Which unfortunately they're not kind of coordinating, and we're not really getting the coordination that we're hoping from MOKers as well, to help coordinate these wraparound city services for the proper address. And as you know, is typically these properties are then just sold to other bad actors once they hit these monetary citations, and then it's just on a loop. So we're really looking for a permanent solution, and this is vacant and also occupied properties. So that's causing these public health and environmental issues for the residents and also the surrounding properties. Thank you for taking my question.
Okay, we're going to stop there and let them address. It seems like majority of those are around, and we have a list of them. That's not all of them. It's several other properties. They're mainly small apartment units, like 4 units to 8 units, 16 units, and the owners are not providing trash services at all. So residents are forced to dump in the streets, and we're seeing diapers, dead animals today. That was happening on Fairlawn S Street. So we have a list of properties, and basically DBH told us today to go to the AG's office. And that's kind of where they left it with us today. So I've been copying you all in on all of these emails we have between DBH, DPW, where we're just at a standstill right now.
Well, if you'll make sure that list of properties comes to us, we can take a look at it. I can tell you that what we think about when we're talking about these general issues is what are the laws that we have on the books that we can use to enforce against bad actors to try to change behavior. We have we do bring actions against vacant property owners. Oftentimes you have long-term property owners that have abandoned the properties, they are vacant. And the properties are dilapidated, they're not kept up, and we try to use the laws that we have to hold those absentee owners accountable. That's a taxing structure where a vacant owner needs to pay a higher property tax than if they're using the property. And we have brought False Claims Act cases for owners who have tried to game the system, as well as tax enforcement cases for people who are not complying with the laws. But when it comes to a strategy of holding those folks accountable, the council recently passed a illegal dumping law. And so we'll have another tool that we will be able to use to try to figure out how we hold people accountable who are dumping their trash into neighborhoods and trying to hold the actual dumpers accountable. When it comes to nuisance properties, a lot of times people are of the mind that the properties that you're describing that are run down, that are full of trash, that are not well kept are nuisance properties, because in the conventional sense of the word, they are. But our statute is very specific about what constitutes a nuisance property. And those are properties that are facilitating gun crimes, prostitution, and drug crimes. And so to make a case under our nuisance statute, it's very important that we build a record, and we do that in cooperation with MPD when MPD has in their records evidence of seizures of guns, seizure of drugs, or arrest for prostitution at a particular property. Some of what is described as nuisance, though, doesn't fall within the statute. And so therefore, guns, drugs, and prostitution is really the tool we have to deal with nuisance. I've established a special counsel for nuisance properties here in the office because we are hearing so often about this, both from commercial and residential neighbors. And we're trying to use the powers of the office to address those issues when we may not have a simple, easy lawsuit to bring against somebody under the technical terms of the nuisance statute. That's using our ability to convene businesses, convene neighbors, and try to figure out how do we solve some of these problems. So we have resources committed to nuisance properties, recognizing that the laws are not necessarily as broad as we might want them to be. We are very concerned about the conditions in buildings, code compliance, lead paint, hot water and heat in the wintertime. And there we have the Tenant Receivership Act that we use aggressively in combination with the Consumer Protection Act, because representations are made to tenants when they're going to be leasing a place as to what they're getting for their money. We're very concerned about the affordability aspect because so many people in the District of Columbia pay a disproportionate amount of their after-tax income in housing costs. And therefore, it's essential that we ensure that when people are spending that kind of money, they get what they're entitled to in terms of safe, habitable housing. We are very closely monitoring the DC Housing Authority on the public subsidy side, both in terms of the inventory that's in the housing authority's ownership, as well as the voucher programs that are being administered by the housing authority. So we are very much aware of the need for there to be as much help as we can bring on housing and housing related issues. My hope is that with the Anti-Dumping Act, we're going to be able to also bring some aggressive environmental cases that will hold people who are just dumping their trash, their tires, their waste, their mattresses into neighborhoods that are unfortunately all too often east of the river, where people treat them as their free dumping grounds. So that's where we are. That's where we are now.
I'm sorry, I apologize for cutting you off. Some of the properties that they're talking about are occupied. So they're not vacant. It's just that the owners who don't live in the district, they're registered, usually is a LLC in the address, you know, and we tracked them down. We were able to track one down. I think what Tracy, they said Accokeek, Maryland, the owner lives. And they were like, maybe someone can go knock on the door of the owner and like, what? And ask
Potomac,
the
Maryland.
responsible. Wasn't it something like they told us that we could
Yeah,
go
it was
knock?
Potomac, Maryland, but we also saw a link that shows that it's scheduled for auction at the end of this month.
So we're seeing lots of different things. So like there are residents who are staying in this building, but the owners are being negligent, and it's leading
Right.
to, like all of these issues. And so we can email you the list that we have and like continue to compile it. But basically, DBH told us today to go to the OAG.
And why was Department of Behavioral Health involved?
Not DBH, excuse me, Department of Buildings.
Oh, DOB. Okay. Yeah, and we work regularly with DOB, and that is the way the system is supposed to work, is that DOB is supposed to go out, inspect, and cite infractions, and oftentimes we're holding people who don't pay those infractions accountable. You're exactly right, Commissioner White. People are doing business through LLCs. We pierce through those when we are involved, trying to figure out who the human beings behind them are. Some of the slumlord litigation that we've brought, we've been able to determine that it's the same person or people behind multiple different LLCs. And that's part of what the hard work that our teams are doing to try to get to the people. And then, of course, once we get to the people, we find that many of them file bankruptcy. And so we chase them into the bankruptcy court too. And that's another thing that the lawyers and the people on my team are doing. So we're very cognizant that this is a pervasive problem, and we're trying to bring impact cases, effective cases to try to change behavior. Some of the cases that we have pending right now, I'm bullish about in terms of trying to really hold people accountable under some, let's just say, some more draconian legal theories that we have.
Okay.
I want to quickly just say, because I know you got to want to get some other questions, and I'm going to run out of time. Thank you for recognizing the work, and the thanks for the work we're doing on scammers. Look, the consumer protection work we do is so, so important, particularly at a time when, you know, affordability is so hard for all of us. And when you spend your money and you don't get what you think you're supposed to get, when people are scamming you out of your money, we've had some awful scams going on where seniors are being taken advantage of with respect to the equity in their homes, general contracting scams. And these are issues that are very high priority. And one of the things that an independent attorney general brings to the mix is the ability to lean into those issues, regardless of who the companies or the wrongdoers may be. So thank you for recognizing that. We are very, very much aware of the new administration and what the new administration has said with respect to organizations and policies that have stood up for underserved communities, disadvantaged communities, Black and Brown communities, LGBTQ communities, vulnerable communities. And I, along with attorneys general, Democratic attorneys general around the country, are speaking regularly about where we can pick the right fights, where we should stand up, and how we protect our residents. This is a national issue. It's not just in DC. Of course, we feel it very acutely because we are the nation's capital and we're not a state. And some of the tools that states have to protect themselves are different than what we have as under the Home Rule Act. And then finally, I'm not going to be able to give it enough time, but on the loitering issue, right now, I'm assuming the fact pattern that you're seeing is these are not people, not kids who should be in school, but adults who are loitering around the area. And we don't have a criminal statute in the District of Columbia that would be enforced by the U.S. attorney if it's adults that makes loitering illegal. And that was because historically those loitering statutes had been used in a racially discriminatory way. But we need to think about other ways we can use our powers of persuasion and our laws to move people along, to get them away from people that they may be feeling, making people feel uncomfortable or worse. I know that some of the convening that we've done on our nuisance commercial property, we had some conversations about loitering and how businesses, community, and community organizations can work together to try to move people along. And I certainly would be open to having my team engage with you all on specifics to see how we can try to thread that needle. Prosecuting for loitering, though, is not something that can be done currently in the District of Columbia.
Yeah. Can you just take a couple of more questions? Is that okay?
Yeah, if we can promise that we'll do it again, and my office is available, but let me try to wrap up by let's go to about 8:15, and then I'm gonna catch a little bit of holy hell from the next group, but that's okay.
It's okay. We'll do a
Yeah.
follow-up. So I just want to call people in order very quickly. Commissioner Robbie Woodland, Gino Dungingham, and then Consuela Madison. I apologize if I pronounced anyone's name incorrectly. And then we have one question in the chat I do want to read. Maybe I'll do that first. How is DCPS council and wait a minute. How's your office working with OSSI to help ensure students with disabilities that use transportation are getting to school, given the recent lawsuit? There are many families still facing these issues. Also, how is DCPS working with the DC Council and Central Office to ensure they are upholding special education laws? Unfortunately, there are many families experiencing IEP/504 non-compliance issues. That's the first question. Then we're going to go to Gino and then Consuela, because I don't see Commissioner Robbie Woodland anymore. Gino, you want to come off mute? Okay, while he's coming, well, go ahead. Go ahead, Gino.
You hear?
We can hear you.
Hello?
We can hear you.
Yes. My question is to the Office of Attorney General. I'm calling from Marbury Plaza. Since we do not have a receivership anymore because of the sale of the building, who do we hold accountable to bringing the building up to code with the new owner that is not being done in the last 30 days?
Thank you, Mr. Gino. Consuela? Consuela? Okay. And then Robbie Woodland.
Are you ready for me?
Yeah.
Okay. Hello, sir. Thank you for attending this meeting tonight, and thank you for allowing me to ask my question. So my question is in two parts. One part is there a way that the law that was created regarding the Talbot Street residents can be reversed so that they can get the funds that they need to better their lives, and funding can be provided back to the ERAP program so that the individuals who need assistance with their rent is able to get that? I have a lot of residents in my single member district who have never applied for ERAP assistance before and need it now, and they're not able to get it. And from what I'm being told is that the ERAP program isn't going to open up again until 2026. So that's the first part.
Okay. We're going to turn those over back to you, Attorney General, because Consuela didn't come on.
Okay. So in no particular order, the question on Marbury Plaza, the short answer is that the new owner who has acquired the property out of the bankruptcy is now responsible for upkeep in the building and keeping the code compliant conditions. And my team, I know, is keeping a close eye on that. But you're right, the receivership process that we went through of holding the previous owner accountable, ultimately getting a receiver appointed for that, resulted in a transfer of the building and sale. And now there is a new owner that is legally accountable and responsible for complying with the law. And we are very much focused on making sure that it's been a long, hard fight and it hasn't been a satisfactory result for any of us, but that we are making progress and we don't want to let that progress backtrack. On the IEP question and working with the public school system and OSSI, our office is charged oftentimes with defending the school system when there is an allegation that IEPs have not been provided. And so in that role, we are doing two things. We are defending the city, but we're also regularly working with our client agencies to try to see if we can't solve problems and try to avoid things that are repeat issues. I can't talk about the pending lawsuit, the lawsuit filed about transportation for obvious reasons. But my role and what I ask our lawyers to do is, of course, do their job as lawyers to defend the city, to defend the taxpayer dollars. Sometimes allegations are made that are not based in fact and that deserve a defense. But when there are meritorious claims that are brought, we should work to solve them, we should work to settle them, and we should work to try to fix those patterns from happening. We try to do that as counsel. On the ERAP and the Talbert, I'll just say this. On the Talbert Street, there is a case pending still, so I can't really get into the merits of Talbert Street. I will say that the question of ERAP funding and where the council is going to come out with budget decisions this budget season is going to be, I'm sure, focusing on that issue. It is a high profile issue. I also know that we should be expecting a very difficult budget year this year for a variety of reasons, given the overall financial strength of the city, the revenues of the city, the tax revenues and otherwise. So I think ERAP and the refunding and the revitalization of that program will be something the council is wrestling with.
Thank you so much, Attorney General. And then I do know that a few commissioners had questions, so I just want to turn it over to commissioners before we let you go. Everyone, for all of the properties, can you please email them to us? I will be pulling the chat and sending it to your office, and I'll email out the responses to people. But there's more questions about unlicensed street vending, on the corner of Murray and 16th Street, more illegal dumping and vacant, more streets. And so I'll capture those and email them out. Oh, Commissioner Woodland, question about the Trump administration. Then Commissioner Donohue had a question. Any other 8A commissioners have questions, you can just come off mute and ask those while we let the Attorney General go. But Commissioner Woodland and then Commissioner Donohue really quickly.
Okay, thank you so much. And my last question was, what is the status of the Trump administration, and have they taken over DC government? And if there's anything that we as commissioners need to have our residents prepare for? Thank you.
Then we'll go to Commissioner Donohue and then Commissioner McKinney, and then we'll turn it over to you to answer all three.
Thank you for being here, Mr. Attorney General. I'm a new commissioner. I'm looking for an update on the apartment buildings, 1525, 1511, 1505, and 1507 19th Street Southeast. I understand your office is involved, and I'm hoping you can provide an update and, if possible, maybe a timeline of some resolutions for my constituents who are on and listening with great interest. Thank you, sir.
Can you tell me, Commissioner Donohue, is there a name of those buildings? I don't recognize the addresses, but I may recognize if you have a name.
I actually don't know if there's a name to those buildings. Jamila, do you know by chance?
No, but I'll follow up via email with all of these addresses too.
Thank you.
Okay, and then Commissioner McKinney.
Hello. Good to see you. The question that I have is about Maple View Flats. They have been doing all types of reports to the Department of Building. They called your office to complain about different issues that they're having in that building. And they're not quite getting the good response that they should be getting, as far as, that building should be fined for a lot of violations of codes and everything. I get a lot of calls from a lot of constituents in that building, and nothing has been done.
Okay. So thank you for that. I will certainly look at all of the addresses you send, and Maple View Flats will be one that I will also follow up on. I will say this, Commissioner McKinney, and for everybody, oftentimes after a complaint comes to our attention, we are engaged in investigating it. We don't talk publicly about the investigation, but it doesn't mean that nothing is being done. And so if you have registered a complaint with our housing team, our nuisance team, or our code enforcement team, and you don't necessarily hear back, it doesn't mean that we're doing nothing on it. Oftentimes these investigations take time. We do try to pursue the landlords, the owners, the beneficial owners behind LLCs. We do go and make inspections of the buildings and talk to witnesses. So I know it's frustrating. We can all agree that if you were designing a system by which landlords were keeping their properties up to code and giving the tenants what they deserve, you would not rely on an attorney general to have to bring lawsuits to get them to do it. It's expensive, it takes a lot of time, and people's lives are completely disrupted while it's going on. So it's not ideal, but we take it very seriously and we look to see where we can change behavior. Or candidly, if people shouldn't be in business doing this work, then they ought to sell the property, and sometimes we force that to happen too. On the question about the Trump administration, no, the Trump administration has not taken over the district. District government is still running the district. And we are trying to do our very best to do our jobs. At the Office of Attorney General, as I laid out at the beginning, we have a job to do. And we come to work every day to do that job. It doesn't stop just because we have a new president in the White House and a new administration. We know that this president, when he was running for office, said a lot of things on the campaign trail that were very hostile and demeaning to our district and our district residents. But as we know that sometimes people can say things on the campaign, it doesn't mean that they're actually going to be able to do things when they're elected. We also know that in our country, the president has very vast powers, and they're not necessarily illegal, even if all of us might decide from a policy perspective, we would do different things were we the president. My focus has been on where the law is, where the Constitution is, and where there are impacts on the district. And that's how I'll continue to look at things as they evolve. The power of the president is not limitless. We have a constitution, we have statutes, we have laws. We are a country of laws. And even though we're not a state, doesn't mean we don't have the right to enforce our laws and the Constitution here. And that's really what I and my team are focusing on. I know it's a scary time. I know it's a disruptive time, but the district of government, I hope all of my colleagues around the government feel about their job the same way I do. Is it's more important than ever that we go to work every day and do our job as well as we can. And so we're going to keep doing that. And part of the way we do it as well as we can is by hearing directly from you. I want to commend all of you for being engaged. We know that democracy is arguably in the balance, and democracy only works if people are willing to fight for it and willing to engage in it. It's not for passive participation, but active participation. The ANC commissioners, perhaps the most thankless job in the city, volunteer work to come and do what you do on behalf of your neighborhoods and colleagues. We try to support you. We're going to have a training coming up like we do periodically so that you know more about what our office does and what the different rules and laws in the city are that impact you. But to everybody who tunes in on an evening to be engaged in your community and in the ANC, I thank you for that, because that's critical that we hold each other up and stay engaged and stay informed. And I look forward to continuing the conversation with all of you. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you, and we will be following up. Some of the community said they want to participate in the trainings as well. So,
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, we're gonna move on and just ask Wendy Glenn from the Mocha's office, do you have any announcements quickly for us tonight?
Thank you and good evening. Yes, I do. I really wanted to speak to everybody about getting back into the swing of things as it relates to the residents and the ANCs really leaning into the Mocha's office with any concerns that you do have. I listened to you as you spoke to the Attorney General. I thank him so much for being here. Dealing with the Department of Buildings and dealing with DPW, there are things in law that they can and cannot do, and I really wanted people to understand that. When there is private property involved, as much as we want to just enter someone's private property and clean it up and then give them put a lien on there, that is a process that takes a very, very long period of time. And until some legislation is changed through the council, it really is a council-related issue as far as what DOB can do and what DPW can do in regards to entering someone else's property, levying a lien, and then cleaning and abating the property without giving proper notice. This is something that is court driven and something that is a matter of law. So I wanted to say that. Also, as far as the Ward 8 mochas are concerned, we do have a avenue where if you guys want to get engaged in your community and begin to do cleanups and things of that nature, we can do a roll-off event where we'll bring the roll-off out there from DPW, big red roll-off, and we can get neighbors involved. We can probably get the property managers involved and try to abate some of those issues before they become such an eyesore to the community. We're getting into our spring cleaning, although this is February. March and April and May are right around the corner. We're back to our alley and street cleaning, and we need to have that information and those locations very much given to the Ward 8 mochas so that we can be out and in front of that. This is the budget process that we're going through, and I'll be here to talk to you guys about that probably next month when those dates of the mayor rolling out her budget are more concrete.
Thank you so much, Wendy. We appreciate you. Does the commissioners have any questions for Wendy or the Mokers tonight? Community members, if you have any questions or comments for Wendy and the other Mokers tonight, can you go ahead and raise your hand or put those in the chat? How can I, okay, Wendy, it's questions about volunteering in the chat. We sent a response. Okay. Any questions for Wendy from commissioners? Okay, my only concern is the sidewalk, front of property and alley dumping. We need more Anafasta on, I think she's saying that they need more support in Anacostia on alley dumping and cleaning of the sidewalk and sweepings. Do you see that, Wendy? Hi, can I volunteer to paint over graffiti on a vacant property facing an alley by my street? I don't know. I don't know. You might get.
Let me answer this. In order for anyone, we, the city, are the only ones outside of a property manager that can actually touch a vacant building, because although we see it as vacant, it's owned by someone. And what we need to do before we send it over to DPW for their graffiti removal is to actually have it signed off by someone. Now, there is a time frame which we can keep waiting and seeing whether or not we can get it signed off on, and then we can act. And I will find out exactly what that time frame is, but it is lengthy. So I will let you know that we will all want to beautify our community, but we just can't touch private property. It's totally not doable.
Okay. All right. So we got dog poop is a big problem. Are we getting trans cans and maintenance? There is glass in my apartment and it worries me because a lot of us walks dogs. So here, I have you please put in a 311 request and send your 311 request to your ANC commissioner so we can flag it. Wendy, I'll defer to you about the dog poop.
We have pooper and scooper laws, although we're not all good neighbors. People are supposed to actually scoop the poop. So there's blue bags that you can get from Clean City. And since this is an issue, I will actually speak to Julius Terry, who's handling our Clean City initiative, and see if we can get some of those bags out to whomever may need it.
Tiffany, can you put in a 311 request as well? Thank you. All right, and then we're going to go to Jared, who's had his hand up. And then I think I had, okay, that's it. That's all the hands I see raised.
Hey, Wendy, this is, we've actually been in communication quite a bit. So one of the things, we always love the fact that Mokers is open to the feedback and to questions. One of the things that we struggle with is actually getting a response sometimes. So how do things may be taking place behind the scenes and we assume that's the case. But I think one of the things that I think, at least from my perspective, is we're looking just for confirmation that it is proceeding and what next steps we can take. Or the timeline that we should be working with. So sometimes we feel like we need to track down a response. And so how do we actually get a confirmation from your team?
Well, getting a confirmation from us is really easy. Just send me an email and say, Wendy, where are we with this process? Now, what I cannot do is answer for an agency. If it's in an agency's responsibility and they are looped in on that email, that is their responsibility to actually give and provide an answer, because I can't overspeak for them and I can't put them on a timeline that they're not actually adhering to. So if in fact there is an answer that is not forthcoming from an agency, then let me know who the agency is and when the last time you spoke with them, and I will write back to them. If something has not escalated, then they do have directors and associate directors, and we can get an expedited answer from you at that point. But we as MOKers cannot speak for an agency.
No, understood. And we've we've actually attempted that, but it hasn't been super successful. So we'll continue to do that and
just forward it to
flag
me.
you as-
If you've done it, anything that you've done twice and have not received an answer on, then you forward to us and say, this Monday, you're going to be my third try. And can you please get me an answer on this? And I will.
We'll continue to do that, but we've tried that and we'll continue to do that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And Jared, you can also, like you be telling me when there's no response, if you link me and tell me, I'll copy in Lindsay Parker, the mayor's chief of staff, because that usually gets a response.
Great, thank you.
But you need to let me know, so because it's somebody trust. Okay, Ashley Templeton is our last question, and then we're gonna move over to Tommy Jones.
Oh, no, I was just trying to reiterate with the dog dropping issue, because we, if you guys have noticed at the 2442 MLK, which is the Bridge Apartments, we've actually, the Anacostia bid has activated that empty retail space as an art gallery. But if you've walked that little strip, the actual tenants of the apartment building, lots of them have dogs and they just do not pick it up. And I'm not sure if the building can actually communicate to the residents about this, but it's just, it needs to be addressed.
So unfortunately, we've been told that the district does not invest in like little poop containers, and that has to be done privately. I do know Red Brick is doing a grant for some in historic Anacostia, and Commissioner McKinney is working on the locations for that. So Ashley, maybe you can follow up with Commissioner McKinney.
Will do. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. All right, DPR, Tommy Jones, welcome to ANCAA. You have a few minutes for your update, and then we're going to keep rolling with the updates.
All right, thank you, Commissioner White, and we're excited to be here. I don't know if I should just share the screen or just go through the updates, whatever you want me to do. Go share the screen? Can I share the screen?
You can go share your screen and talk at the same time.
Okay, perfect. Let me just go ahead and share. Just give me 1 second, folks, and then we'll be able to go through. So I just wanted to couple on a couple of things. We are now getting ready for summer camp and summer camp programs. So just to let you all know, the lottery.
Sorry, Tommy, can you make it big? Put it in full screen mode so we can see that slide better.
I'm trying to do. Yes, I can do that. Just give me 1 second. Is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay. All right. Sorry. It's been a long day. Been here since 9 a.m. So just wanted to let you all know, we just had our webinar that discussed summer camp operations and summer camp programming. We are in the thick of it. So as you can imagine, summer camp sites and registration, that information is available on dprsummerprogram.com, where you can see all the locations, see the programs and things that are being served. The lottery starts on February 14th, where individuals can go in and place what they would like in each of the 4 sessions, and that we will end it on March 3rd. So you now do not have to feel that angst and anxiety about, did I meet the time for registering my son or daughter or child for a program? There it is. You have until the 14th. We are still accepting reduced rate applications. So for those families that qualify for reduced rate, that's until February 24th. Just want to let you know about camp dates. Those camp dates start June 23rd. We are off July 4th, and August 15th closes it out. The other thing is we get a big question about is on families that need before and after care. That is available. It's $20 for both before and after care. So typically that means a camper would come in at 8 o'clock and they would stay until about 5:30, 6 o'clock, their particular site. And then just to let you know, just on offerings, this is what we're offering. We have a host of program services available. So for As you can see, for the ages of your child, the different programs, we are offering therapeutic recreation camps and therapeutic opportunities, not only at Joy Evans Recreation Center, but at other sites throughout our portfolio. And you just need to go online and look at those. We are also offering our tweens between 11 and 13, our boost camps. So that information will be coming out shortly as well as Camp Riverview. So Camp Riverview is our camp that is available in Scotland, Maryland. It's a week-long overnight camp. I have not been, but everyone I talk to tells me it is an amazing experience for their young person to attend. So we just really want to encourage those folks. As that information comes out, please be available. Now, I know I only have another minute, and I'm seeing you, Commissioner White. I'm going to get through it, all right? But I want to make sure a couple things that people... Number one, when you see an issue or have an issue, number one, we at DPR are a part of 311, right? So always, always, always make sure you put your 311 request, or my colleague, Chris Dyer, or myself. Chris Dyer is the ANC's. He is your point of contact to DPR. And I see the messages that many of you are sending to him and he is responding to. From resolutions to information, you can send it to myself or Chris. But more importantly, if you have put your request in at 311 and hey, you're like, well, where's it going on this particular issue? We can work internally to make sure that we can see and help you understand. Now, just remember that they have service level agreements, the Department of General Service. So as they're looking at it, if it's within that agreed time for abatement, there could be costs, there could be other things that are making it unpreventable, or we're not at the right time. I wanted to make sure, I think this is my contact information, but I also wanted to do one more thing really quickly. I didn't get it. I'm not as good as this. But I wanted to just tell you all this really quickly because this is important. This is just like, how do you, like, DPR has got way too much stuff going on sometimes. As you probably hear our director says sometimes, we play too much, or and that's a good thing that we do, right? But for residents, we just want to let you know how you can get in contact with DPR, how you can know about your events, your programs, your services that we offer, how you can get a permit, what are our locations, where are the events. This is a very simple way you can learn about DPR in our programs. I am done, Commissioner. That's it. If you have any questions, folks, definitely feel free to email me or let me know. And I'll put that contact information, bam, right there. Commissioner, you want me to take questions or what you want me to do? I'm at your leisure.
Yeah, we have a few questions in the chat if you can address. One, someone asked, is Anacostia on this list of community or movie nights? We were not picked in the past. And when is the next update on Catch and Rec Center going to happen? Those are the two questions we got.
Okay, yep, perfect. So I can answer both. Number one, we have not made our movie selections yet in terms of movie nights. That comes out closer. But if you want to just send me an email to make sure that we're aware of it, please do that now. Like, if there's a location, if there's a site, so that our team can evaluate that to make sure that we understand. One of the things that you all probably understand is that we're also trying to see where it can be done safely, and also how our equipment can fit on a particular site. So you may think that our no is no because of X, Y, and Z. There are a number of reasons how we determine those sites and locations, but we can definitely work on that. The second one was on the rec, the new rec at Ketchum.
Yeah.
Okay, so I can check on if there's an update or anything that we can say, but what I can tell you, we are moving forward expeditiously. I believe we're in line for that to be able to open sometime in the fall. I don't have a particular date for opening, but I can definitely get back to the commission to let you know. I know one of your questions was on naming. I think we provided you all with information on that. We don't, as an agency, have any way in which we can name a facility. That isn't our process, but I think the community has ways in which they can work with the council and others to get the naming facility done. I would advise to do it earlier now.
We're going to do it in March. Yeah.
Okay, so that it can be
Thank
in
you.
line for the
Yeah.
new building opening. All
So
right.
we'll follow up in March. We'll reach out to the community to get those recommendations. We see like the Anacostia Bid said they'll do a movie night with you. Red Brick said they'll do a movie night with you. So we'll do the follow up after the meeting on both the movies, and we'll reach out to the council about the naming. So thank you for coming tonight and sharing this with you and Chris and Hannah Baker and everyone in the direction.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner, and thank you to all of you. Welcome to the new commissioners as well. We know it is a wonderful job, or it is a thankless job, but it is a very important job, and we can't do the work without you. So thank you so much. And to those partners that want to partner with us, you have my contact information. Just send me an email. We'll follow up. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, let's go ahead and welcome DDOT. I think you all have an announcement about a meeting coming up or something.
That's right. How's everybody doing? Steve Jarek with DDOT. I'm also joined, so I'm a civil engineer with DDOT, joined by Keith Jones, Community Outreach Specialist for Ward 8. Keith, if you're there, turn on your camera, say hi to everybody. And then our design consultant, Kelly Giles,
everybody
from WSP. Let me see if I can figure out this screen share here. And okay.
I don't see Keith.
All right, so Keith, I think, is also named Steven Jarek. I don't know how that happened, but that.
Oh wow!
Keith, put your hand up.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay, there we go. Hello.
Good. Can everybody see my screen?
We can. It's kind of small because
Is it okay? All right. Well,
PowerPoint.
I'll zoom in and we can kind of to do this here. So, I'm here to provide everyone with an invitation to a virtual public meeting, which is taking place on Thursday, March 6th from 6:30 to 8 p.m. And that's going to be a virtual meeting hosted by DDOT to talk about the Anacostia Metro Bicycle and Pedestrian Bridge project. During the meeting, we're going to take questions. We're going to provide an update on the project and discuss our next steps. And I will make sure to put a copy of this flyer in the chat for everybody. We would love it if you would share it around. We look forward to a lively discussion. There's several ways to join the meeting. You can use the website here. You can call in on your phone. You can scan this code with your cell phone, the QR code, and join that way. If there are any special accommodations or technical support needs, you can follow the numbers here in this blue section of the flyer. If there are questions, maybe specific questions or concerns that you have, please email Keith and myself. We'll be sure to speak to those during the meeting. And just so everybody's oriented, and we're talking about the connection from Berry Farms to the Anacostia Metro. Here is a kind of isometric view of the bridge itself going over the parkway.
Yeah.
There's some additional information here on kind of the project goals that we're carrying through, and also some information on the schedule. Okay. In addition to that, DDOT's also hosting another meeting for the Minnesota Ave Southeast Bus Priority Project. This flyer is going to go in the chat as well from Keith, and that's going to take place Wednesday, February 19th from 6 to 7 p.m. And that's another DDOT virtually hosted meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Keith. I just want to confirm the Anacostia Bike Project, looking at the bike pedestrian, that is not in 8A, correct? The boundaries of that project. It does not look like it from the map.
So this
Or
board
maybe
is
just the last,
8C, I
or
believe.
just the last little quarter of it.
Yes, yeah, it's a small smidget.
First Sterling, and does it go to First Sterling and Howard? I couldn't see because majority of it looks like it's in 8C.
Yeah, I think I have to look at the map to see which street it crosses, but it does definitely fall in a small part of 8A.
A small
And
part.
yeah, definitely 8C, of course, Berry Farm.
Okay, yeah. And if you can put the links in the chat too, maybe so people can click
Yes, absolutely. Let
down so they
me,
can have the calendar invite. And then while we
yes,
have Keith on the line, if you have questions for Keith, go ahead and put them in the chat, and I'm sure Keith will stay and answer them
absolutely. I did see
as
one
always.
question regarding from a V Street resident. I think Matthew had put a question in the chat. We did send a 5-page response to about 17 of the residents on V Street. So if you could forward me your email, Matthew, or in fact, I'll put my information in the chat so you can email me and I can forward you that 5-page response. We come up with a concept that will probably, hopefully, will appease the residents on V Street and also include our original design for the Marionberry, MLK Marionberry study. So I'm going to put my information in the chat so you can have my email and phone number once I find it.
And Keith, there'll be more engagement before the final design is approved, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. So right now we just finished the study phase. We're going to go into concept. There's way more to come. I will say there are some quick fixes that are coming. We mentioned the intersection there next to Union Temple, where we plan on making that a parking on both sides of the street, adding in those what we call curb extensions, basically, and putting in some nice flower planters there potentially, working with the bid and Haba and other residents who may want to maintain it because DDOT won't maintain the actual planters. But yes, there is more to come before we actually do a full implementation.
Okay. Well, we will look forward to continuing to host. You all have been great in hosting community meetings and walkthroughs and everything else. So,
Absolutely. Thank you.
all right. Anything from any of the commissioners for DDOT? I know we didn't have DDOT on the agenda tonight to do any discussion, but while we have Keith here, does anybody have a quick question for him?
I don't have a question. I just want to acknowledge Keith for his attending to my single member district meeting. I appreciate you, and it was a good conversation. So thank you.
Yes, it was a very large turnout, so I was highly impressed. So thank you for hosting that, and I was glad to join.
Thank you, Keith. All right, I think we are down to the end. We have one last announcement from Lindsay. Oh, one more, Stephen. You got another DDOT announcement.
I was saying goodbye. Thank you all.
Oh, my bad.
Okay.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Okay. Please,
All right.
please show up on the 6th. Thank
All
you.
right, please
Okay.
make sure to put those links.
It's
and
already in there.
Perfect.
Good.
All right.
Thank you.
All right,
Thanks,
Lindsay,
Kelly.
welcome. It has been a minute since
It
we
has.
How you doing?
I'm well. How are you, Chair?
Wonderful. So we're just
Good.
give you a couple minutes. We know that you're going to have a community meeting we were talking about, so you can go into
Yes, ma'am. So
all
I
the-
have an update. I also I have a quick slideshow. I just want to confirm I can just run through that. There's also an introduction that I want to make of Justin Cox with Atlas. So I am going to share my screen now. I'll try to quickly go through this, but as the chair mentioned, we are having an open house this Saturday from 10 to 12. I'll drop that information in the chat. This will be sort of the first big major opportunity for community to come to the Bridge District, come inside the building. It certainly won't be the last, but just really wanted to set the stage for a year long of touring, activations, and fun to come at the Bridge District. So this is the site overall at full build out. For those who aren't familiar with where we are, we're along Howard Road between the Anacostia Metro Kiss and Ride and the foot of the Frederick Douglass Memorial Bridge. If you know where Cedar Tree Academy is, you found your way to the Bridge District. I won't get into the weeds here, but essentially we, through Red Brick, are creating a new mixed-use destination, really trying to enhance and bolster all the great work that's happening in community east of the river and in Ward 8. At the Bridge District, we're really sort of minded around sustainability through design and behavior, really wanting to connect folks on both sides of the river to the wonderful natural resources that are in the park, that are along the trails, but also add some new elements by way of restaurants, shops, experiences and amenities that we know have long been desired, but not often brought to bear. So I'm going to skip through as quickly as I can. This is sort of notes on what we're delivering this year. The first phase is going to be a 3-tower structure For those of you who've been with this journey for a while, you remember there was a big hole for a long, long time and then emerged a big building. That big building has been broken down into 3 towers that'll be residential units for rent. 757 units total, which will also be inclusive of market and affordable units. We'll have parking and ample opportunity for experiencing the outdoors. One of the things that we are differentiating ourselves with is balconies. Over 80% of the units will have livable balconies that many of them are incredible. They are on the backside of the, or excuse me, around Popular Point. So you step out into your back balcony and there's Popular Point. So you'll see that in your tours and your visits to the Bridge District, but I just wanted to highlight that here. At full build out, we'll have 8 acres of land. So again, a larger size development that's coming online. We'll have residences, we'll have an innovation lab for cybersecurity. We'll have 90,000 square feet of restaurant and retail space, underground parking, and a lot of public parks and public amenities for all to enjoy, regardless of you living at the Bridge District. So far, and as our chair alluded to, we've been under development. We've been constructing, but we've also been working in community. My role is really around how to continue to center community throughout this big undertaking. Some of the things that we were proud of to achieve and work towards and actually accomplished last year was really starting to dramatically increase the profile of the public realm along Howard Road. Meaning we heard a lot of feedback from neighbors about it being dark or maybe too sketchy, didn't really feel welcoming. And so we started to take action to bring in uplighting, dramatically improve the roadway, widen the sidewalks, create some signage, and really start to visually bring to bear that something's coming. We signed DC Fria as an activation partner. You'll hear a little bit more about them. We've also continued to make charitable donations and support community events, and we want to do that as much as we can. So we're happy to be a site for hosting and sharing space in partnership with the BID and other district government agencies, and certainly this ANC. Here, I just highlighted some of the community events that we were able to produce. We really strive to do things that are no cost for residents and for neighbors, really wanting to make sure that everybody and as many people as possible can enjoy what we have to offer. We hosted a tree lot this year. We're proud to be a new destination for purchasing trees, partnered with the DC Fire and EMS agency also to bring critical life-saving tips and resources to community along with the purchase of trees and wreaths. I'm very excited to do that. And we were able to donate 25 trees and wreaths directly to neighbors in Anacostia, which was a great opportunity. I talked a lot about retail. I'm sorry, I'm going fast. I want to honor time. But we are really, really excited about bringing some really amazing local brands, flavors, businesses to phase 1. You all may be familiar with Sandlot Anacostia. They are coming back in full force, reopening in March of this year. Atlas Brewworks, who you'll soon meet the founder, owner, and operator after I speak next. DC Frey, Andy's Pizza, and Chef Elias Tedessi, who is an Ethiopian-born, French-trained, and Michelin star chef, is bringing a concept right to the Bridge District. We're really excited for that. So a lot of exciting things to come. I'm here also to introduce you to Justin Cox with Atlas. I wanted to be able to share with community a little bit about what he's doing and tell you what his next phase will look like. So Justin, if you're on, I would love for you to pick up here, introduce yourself, and just describe a little bit about what your site at the Bridge District will look like and entail.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, everybody. I'm Justin Cox. As Lindsay said, I'm the founder and owner of Atlas Brewworks. So we are the district born and bred brewery. Started out in Ward 5 in Ivy City back in 2013. We've since expanded to where we operate a brew pub and kitchen in another part of Ward 8 over on Half Street and one in Alexandria, Virginia. So we are excited to build our flagship location here in the Bridge District. We've got a little rendering here of kind of the exterior and interior of what the space looks like. So we're going to have our pizza brand Andy's Pizza have a full kitchen there, serving pizza and wings and fries and salads and all the delicious menu, as well as having some of the beers that we produce on tap in a large kind of open format tap room. The back of the house of that is where we're going to be producing our actual beer. So we'll have a lot of production happening there. We're fortunate enough to, after years of hard work, that we are expanding, and which is great. And with that comes the need for more space, hence the Bridge District. And with that comes the need, for the front of the house staff here and the back of the house in our production thing. We're expecting that we're going to be hiring over the next few years, and definitely looking for interviewing people from the community, and especially locally in Ward 8.
Yeah, Justin, I'm so sorry. I just got a ping that we need to defer our time back. But really quickly, Chair White and Commissioners, Justin, on his behalf, I'll state the request simply. He has an ABRA application, and we would kindly ask and request a vote of support from this commission on behalf of community. This will bolster Justin's ABRA application and ensure that he can deliver this space, continue to provide food, and hire a bunch of people from the community. So happy to send those details. I hope you'll be taking votes tonight, but if not, this is the ask on the table of us. So thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, Justin.
Thank you all for presenting. I think we're going to wait for the next
meeting. We
next
have two
meeting
meetings in February, like Commissioner McKinney said, because of the demand. So we'll be doing it at the next meeting. Justin, maybe we can have that town hall, Lindsay, before the next meeting so people can really get the nitty gritty. And can you please put the open house information in the chat so people can?
I sure will. Yep.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Commissioner McKinney, for that update. Thank you, Lindsay. And I know that
Thank you.
hopefully some folks will be able to make it out.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Commissioners can make, especially the new ones, maybe that haven't been involved. Yeah. All right. So they're looking for ABCA requests, but commissioners, like we talked about, we'll bring them back to our next February meeting so we can see that request in advance. And then our last kind of update for tonight is from the Anacostia bid. I think Ashley's been providing updates all night. Ashley, are you still on the line? So Commissioner Donohue, we can talk about it, but that's not the responsibility of Eric Cluckley. He's a staff member. He's not on the council. That's not appropriate to do that to him. Okay. Ashley, are you around from the bid? What happened to you? Okay. Eric, do you have any announcements? I do want to note, not the elephant in the room. Today was a very difficult day in Ward 8. It was a very difficult day for us. The DC City Council decided to expel our democratically elected council member. Eric is not here to answer any questions about that. That has nothing to do with Eric. He is a staff member that we want to keep employed. So I do want to recognize that and just ask Eric if you have any updates you want to provide on behalf of what your office is doing, because the staff is still working. And I'll provide an announcement at the very end of the meeting about what the ANC commissioners are doing. Okay, Eric, I'm going to turn it over to you and then back to Ashley because she went away, but I got to get her back. Eric, if you want to give us any updates, and we are sending our support to you as well. All right. Seeing no updates from Eric. Ashley, we have Commander Hickman's hand up again. Commander Hickman?
Yeah, real quick before I hopped off, I just wanted to for all ANC commissioners, with you, every daily when I can, an email comes from me purposely. I send a 24-hour report to all you guys with emails, your ANC emails, basically what's happened with 650 within the last 24 hours. That email will always come from me. That's me basically. That's basically you guys holding me accountable down looking at the crime in the district and we're deploying the resources as needed. So it's I have all you guys on the email chain. The email goes to your ANC email, and it basically is a brief overview about what we saw in the last 24 hours. I basically list out the violent crime, the property crime. I put like a little chart, and you can see the ANCs, and it's for all the ANCs in that 60 covered, and then any highlights, and then from here, maybe once a week, I'll put the updated crime statistics, increases or decreases. I don't do that day. I don't put that in there every day only because those numbers are rarely change to see every day. It's really like you said the same thing. So I may put it once a week. But that email will always come to me Monday through Friday when I'm available. And that's basically me letting you know that I'm looking at the crime and I'm really trying to deploy resources to the best place.
Thank you. Some of our, hold on one second, Tom. Some of our community members have asked for that, but they don't want it. They want a way that they can sign up for it because we have our own listservs, and some people have said, I don't want it every day. And the way that it kind of works is like, sorry, it's either everyone or nothing. So I know I sent you an email. If there's something you can just consider a way for people to sign up for them, who want to receive them, who are not ANC commissioners.
All I can do is I can put that out maybe on one of our social media platforms if I find it there. Only because once you start the list for all the ANC commissioners 6D, which I think we're up to nearly 40. I think once that list starts growing, it just be so many emails.
Okay.
And so, but I can get with our IT and see if there's somewhere we can put it on our
If you could, so people could access it. Okay, Commissioner Donohue.
I was just going to think about that was helpful because that's where I found out about the Minnesota Avenue thing. So that was helpful. I do look at them because if I can figure out if there's an incident report available number where I can request it in case I want to reach out to the constituent or something like that, that might be helpful too. But I do appreciate that effort.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Sometimes they don't give us information, Tom, that's sensitive about victims. Okay. All right. So we're gonna actually we still can't hear you. I'm not sure.
Am I here now? Am I here now?
We can
Okay.
hear you.
Sorry about that. So did
I'll
you get the
share my
link that I
screen.
sent? Perfect. Thank you. So I'm Ashley Templeton. I'm the programming and marketing manager for the Anacostia bid. I was on last year as well, kind of in reference to this project that I'm going to bring up again, but it's kind of wanted to update the ANC about what's been going on. So really exciting work. So last year, the annual conference for the American Society of Landscape Architects was hosted in Washington, D.C. in October. And every year they choose a community partner to do a voluntary project called the Legacy Project. And essentially they have volunteers from the local chapters work with a community partner. And this year they chose the bid because they love the work that we're doing in our community. And so as a bid, it's economic development and clean, safe, and vibrant corridors and neighborhoods since we're so, intertwined to the neighborhoods, as you know. So here you'll see that they did 4 site plans, just conceptual drawings. They actually spent a lot of time in the community talking to the local neighborhood and business owners about what do they want to see. Everything that we do, art is at our core since we are the Arts and Culture District of Washington, D.C. So you'll see everything is driven with, public art, beautification. So 4 sites, the site 1 being the gateway point, one we say is to the Arts and Culture District and Historic Anacostia, which is the 11th Street Bridge Park, as you can see there. So there's some ideas about how can we, make sure people know that they're entering a space as they're kind of off the highway and they're entering actually business district because we know we have a lot of traffic issues. Jamila, you can move on.
Okay, sorry.
The second site, which is a huge priority, and I have really exciting updates on this, but this is the 295 underpass, which I had spoke to at a previous meeting last year about, we all know this is a dark and dingy area. So what can we do to make it, one, widen the sidewalks, make it feel accessible, make sure you know that you're entering a lively business district, you're going into a beautiful park. And so what we wanted to focus on is working with public art and the LED lighting, which could be animated and static, and then maybe some structural pieces. As you can see in the bottom right there, we got some like lighted tree trunks, but really make this space an experience is the idea. So we put out a call for artists because it was super important that we work with someone local. We have onboarded that person. We're just going through final processes, but once we are able to reveal the individual we have chosen, I think you'll be very happy. We've worked with this person before and we're very, very excited to be working on this. So this year, our focus is to actually get this going. So right now we are in conversations with significant stakeholders, the ANC being one of those. So that's why I'm here today presenting. But essentially we've got the players, we've got the agencies who've got ownership of the property on board, and they really want to see this happening. So we're going through the motions to make sure the right players are involved and are excited to see what's to come very shortly. And we hope will be happening in this year, 2025. All right, site 3, please. This is the Anacostia High School footbridge. As you know, that spans across the highway into the park by the rec center. If you've walked it, it's not in good condition at all. I've actually heard from students saying, I don't cross into the park because it doesn't seem safe. So that's the exact opposite of what a pedestrian bridge is supposed to be functioning as. So what can we do to, one, fix it up, make it look presentable and safe, but also make it a cool thing you want to cross, that you feel like I'm entering into something different. I'm about to go to the park. I'm about to go into historic Anacostia. And then the fourth site, and I know we're getting right up until 9 o'clock, so really quick. So the fourth site is the Nicholson Street Bridge underpass, similar to the 295 underpass. What can we do to bring public artwork into the space so that you feel comfortable going through it? You want to walk through it, and you want to have access to both, again, the business corridor and the park district. So that being said, if you go down a little bit more, Jamila, we had a tremendous feedback after the last meeting when we shared the project. We'd love to have you all fill out the survey if you have any ideas, see things that you like, see things that you would like to see. We just would love to hear from you because your involvement and, ideas are super important to us. So I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ashley, so much. That is beautiful and amazing. Really excited. I remember the ANC, we provided a letter of support for some grant funding, I think, for some of this at one point in time. So really, really excited to see this. And excited. Yeah. Ashley, are you all going to have any more community meetings around which options after you hear from the surveys? And when is the survey ending?
So the survey will be up for several weeks. So I'm glad I'm sharing it now. Since we're going through the process of onboarding the artists, we have some motions we have to get to in terms of when we're ready to actually share anything. So let me get back to you on that. But yeah, I wanted to show you where we were today as an update, that we are moving forward in the process. Again, the 295 underpass is high priority. The other ones are in still conceptual design phases. But with more partnerships and more funding in the future, we hope to implement as well.
Okay, that's one of the questions in the chat. If you all have any chat for Ashley questions, please put them in the chat. But one of the questions is this fully funded?
With the Arts and Culture District, a piece of it is beautification, especially in the public realm. But to the extent of how big and experiential the project will be with LED lighting, we're going to have to look at what is it actually going to look like. But I think we have enough to at least get started and know that we can make this move forward at this moment.
That's really good. Thank you, Ashley. Any questions for Ashley from the commissioners? I'm not seeing any in the chat besides, is this fully funded? And this is great. And this is so folks can know primarily in 8A02 and 8A06, the locations that were being shown. So, all right. Well, thank you, Ashley. We look forward to continuing to work with the bid. Now I want to open up to the commissioners to provide some updates. I know we're coming up on time, and thank you for folks hanging with us. It was a very good discussion, I think, with Attorney General that lasted a good amount of time. So I'm going to go in order. 8A01, any updates for the community tonight?
Yeah, just our single member district meeting will be every fourth Tuesday of the month, which is, I think, it's the 25th, if I'm right, of February. And then also March 1st, we're planning tentatively doing a community cleanup day. So as it starts to get warmer, we thought this would be a good time to get out there and meet each other and start working the neighborhood.
Thank you. 8A02, Commissioner Foreman.
Not presently.
Thank you. 8A03, Commissioner Davis.
Sorry, I had mute on.
Is it okay?
I don't have any.
Okay, 8A04, Commissioner Moore.
Hi, yes. So I've been going through the emails and I just want to inform everyone who is present from my small member district that I am responding. I'm catching up on some things and getting myself acclimated with the processes. So give me some time and you all can, join the next meeting and I'll be able to respond to some of your inquiries. But keep sending the emails. I'm active in the email.
Thank you. 8A06, Commissioner McKinney.
No updates at the time. I think updates were done by the bid and Lindsay. So that was a great update pertaining to the winery, the brewery that's coming through.
Okay, thank you so much, Commissioner. And Commissioner Redman.
No updates tonight, thanks.
Okay, and then me, okay, I see some in the community. The Historic Anacostia Litter Cleanup will be hosted by HABA on Saturday, February 15th at 10 a.m. Meetup is at 14th and B Street. Cleanup supplies will be provided. Thank you. I do have a couple announcements for 05. So one, and as we all know, right now we're in a period of a little bit of crisis in Ward 8. So the Ward 8 ANC chairs and vice chairs has called on the council for an emergency in-person and hybrid town hall this week. So the council has committed to that. And so please be in contact. Please look out. We definitely will be pushing that as much as possible for a meeting with the at-large council members. We've invited Mendelson, Councilmember McDuffie, and the rest of the at-large council members to be able to talk to the Ward 8 community about what is going to happen next. So please look out for that. The next announcement I have, we're going to be having two big ANC meetings like this for the month of February because it's just been so much going on. We are getting the date confirmed for the second one. That one is going to be really focused on DPW issues and DOB issues. So we're going to continue some of these conversations. So please look out for that. Next week on February 13th, Commissioner McKinney and I are going to have a community walkthrough with Councilmember Robert White for our single member districts. We're going to be in 8A05 and 8A06 from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. I know that's in the middle of the day. A lot of people may be working, but we'll be doing a community walkthrough. We're going to focus on a couple of apartment complexes too, Cedar Gardens, Cedar Heights, and Mapleview specifically, as well as other sites in 8A. So if you have any issues for Councilmember White, Robert White, please flag or join us when we're out. The second thing is the ANC has a lobby day that we're planning where we're lobbying all of DC Council, and we're going to be inviting constituents to join us to push some of the oversight issues that have been brought up from the community and the ANC, and also push out some of our budget requests, including moving the methadone clinic, investing into the arts and culture district, investing into some of the parks in Fair Lawn and more. So I will put all of those in the chat, Raphael, but Raphael, I'm going to ask that if you all can email your commissioner, or I'm going to put our general anc.dc.gov email so we can get back to that. So you all can get our announcements because we will send it up. So February 13th, Robert White, 11:01 and 8A05 and 8A06. This ANC is meeting with McDuffie on February 25th to continue conversations with McDuffie around APCA moratoriums and DIMPAD investments. We're going to be having an 8A lobby day for commissioners and constituents with all of the council members at the end of March, beginning of February. And so I will be sending all of that out in email too, but just some things for you to know. And then we will be letting you know when we have the community-wide conversation with our at-large council members about Ward 8 council leadership. So that's all of the updates. Anything else I'll be sending out via email. And then folks are asking about the cannabis license. So as you all know, there was Commissioner McKinney, you want to provide an update? You want me to do it for City Ground? Because that's your SMD, actually. Commissioner McKinney? Can you hear me? Okay, I'll provide a quick update, but basically APCA told us that the law changed in November. Community members cannot protest cannabis licenses. I don't know if this is just cultivation or if this is just retail. I will have to look on the record. So community can't do protests. As you all know, the ANC did have a vote last year, which the vote was split into null in terms of whether to support or oppose the license. And so what happened was we were asking APCA to extend the protest period while we were trying to negotiate with the owner of the building as well as the manufacturer. And we had several community meetings, but just was not able to get to a place where everyone felt comfortable trying to support their application. So since the vote was a null vote, APCA did not allow us to extend it, the protest. So right now there's been no license issued, there's been no permit issued, and we are in an email trail with APCA's lawyers to see if there is any type of new consideration from the commission, or because we had that vote that was a null vote, basically 2 for and 2 opposed. It was like, it was a null vote in there. So that is when they're doing Tracy with the law. I can't, I don't know why DC changed this law. What I can do, Tracy, is ask the council, why did they change this law for that cannabis industry? Community can't protest the way you can with alcohol. I don't know why the law was changed. It was just changed in November of last year, and I'll try to find out more information about that and get back to you. But Raphael, I'll have to find the law. I literally just checked my email, and that's what the ABCA lawyer said. They said the regulation was changed, but they didn't say the actual statute and stuff. So we can follow up via email with that statute. Commissioner Moore. Hi, Commissioner Moore. Lanice Moore. Happy New Year. Welcome back. Always respect our former commissioners. Commissioner Fria Moore said she responded, and we also talked to APCA about DC Market because certain folks couldn't access their email, didn't get notifications. So they said they will allow us to submit a motion to re-enter that protest against DC Market. So welcome. Thank you for joining us. I saw some other former commissioners. Hi, Commissioner Glenn. I saw you in the chat too. Glad to have y'all with us. All right. So with that, I want a motion that we end tonight's meeting. It's 9:11 p.m. All in favor? Oh, sorry. No, we have one thing before we end. Commissioner Davis.
No, I didn't have a question.
Oh, okay. All right. So I motion that we end tonight's meeting. Any objections to ending now?
Aye.
Okay. Everybody agrees. All right. All right. Motion meeting
Thank you
adjourned.
everyone for coming.
It's 9:12. Thank you for coming. Look out for the next meeting. And Raphael, please email your commissioner and we can try to get that law and statute to you.
I was telling my babies to be quiet.
It's okay. And Ward 8 Dems off, because we're off. ANC is having an emergency meeting right now about council. And so I invite, if anybody wants to know what they're planning to do, the Ward 8 Dems meeting is now. They started an emergency meeting.
Jamila, can you keep the chat up for I just want to skim through it because I think I missed some stuff that I want to put on my calendar.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll keep the line open for another 60 seconds. I'm going to go off camera though.
Oh,
all right,
okay.
everyone, have a good night.
Good night.
All right. Hi, everyone.
Good night. Oh, thank you, Deanwood. We love Deanwood. Thank you for joining us. I love Deanwood. Let me say that. Thank you for joining.
I love Deanwood too.
Tom, let me know when you're finished and I'll. Oh.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Oh, down there.
We got somebody named Tiffany.
Oh, I can't. Go ahead, Jamila. I'm gonna get on the Dems. I'll just request.
I'm gonna get on Dems. Commissioner Moore, thank you to that February 8th. Actually, Commissioner Moore, just so you know, I did get Denise, like she helped us when you and I were dealing with this issue. She's helping us now too. So thank you so much for flagging it. Anybody who wants the copy of the chat or recordings, you just need to email the commission and we'll send you the link to it.
Okay.
No, the emergency meeting, you have to go on the Ward 8 Dems website if you want to, or their Facebook page if you want to join that meeting, because it's completely separate.
I was just gonna look for the link and see if I can post it real quick.
Yeah, if you can post it and then I'll but it's also on their Facebook page too.
Okay.
All right, if you can post it and then I'll shut it down.
Yep, I'm looking for it right now.
Ward 8 Dems.
I got it coming here.
The last little update, Scott, is Matt Foreman reached out to us and he's going to put a meeting together with Friendship Place. So you could let your neighbors know because Matt Foreman is now over DHS. All right. Good night, everyone.
That link is not
Good
working.
night.
All right, I'm shut it down.